We're not for sure how many burials were in the cemetery, but we know in 1820, James Ford's first wife died. Her name was Susan Miles, and we're sure she's buried there, but she didn't have a stone. Okay, the next to die would be James Ford himself. And of course, probably many of y'all have heard of the story about how James' burial took place up here at the cemetery. His wife Elizabeth and the children didn't accompany the wagon to the family graveyard. With the approach of night, the threatening weather, and the odor from the 2-day-old body, took him 2 days to build his coffin because he was so large. Only a neighbor, Arthur Love, and a group of slaves saw Ford to his grave. At the burial plot, Love had the slaves place 2 rails across the gaping hole that had been dug to receive the body. They all hoisted the heavy coffin from the wagon onto the rails. As they set it down, the rails under the head of the coffin broke, and the coffin slipped into the grave head first. The slaves were ordered to get down into the grave and unjam the coffin. They were as frightened of Ford dead as they were alive, and they refused to go. But Love threatened them with his pistol, so they climbed reluctantly down into the grave. As they were trying to move the coffin, the approaching storm opened up with a loud thunderclap that reverberated from the heavens. The skies opened up and rain descended in torrents. Love scurried back to the house to get out of the rain, and the slaves were left to pile dirt on top of the jammed coffin. It was left upside down like that. So Squire Ford was buried head first in the grave. We're here at the famous Ford Cemetery in Crittenden County. It's located on private property, and our Fairy Tales group is proud to be here today.
The Fairy Tales series came to a climax in early November 2021 as individuals got to tour Western Kentucky and Southern Illinois, seeing some very rare landmarks that are on private property and touring some public places.
We're at Tower Rock. This is supposed to be the highest point on the Ohio River from Pittsburgh all the way to Cairo. Here at Tower Rock and other overlooks like this high on the river pirates would come up here and stand, and from this point you can see way up the river and see boats coming down the river, and that would give them time to go down and get their ambush ready. And then lots of times they would stay up here and they would wave to the boats down below and say, "Stop, we need help." And from up in this high point they were able to attract the boat's attention.
The Fairy Tale series was developed by libraries, humanities councils, and tourism commissions in both states.
Planted out in the town and named it for his mother, Elizabeth. So as James and Elizabeth McFarland built the McFarland Tavern.
From the oldest hotel in Illinois to the historic Ford Cemetery, this series tried to shed some new light on some old folklore.
Here's Hurricane Island, and Hurricane Island got its name back in the late 1700s, early 1800s, when a so-called hurricane came up the river and leveled all the trees on the island, which is about 2 miles long and about half a mile wide.
He crossed over the ferry at the ferry landing. You know, he told all his buddies at the ferry, he said, "Guess who's back? Billy's back. I'm going to go see Mom and Dad." And they said, "Oh, that's great. They'll really be glad to see you," because he had been gone for years and years and years. So he comes up here, and as soon as the first thing he does when he gets up here to the inn, he goes straight to the spring to get himself a drink. And while he's getting a drink, his dad hits him over the back of the head, kills him, and buries him.
The tour ended in Southern Illinois. One of the last stops was the infamous Potts Inn.
All right, we're standing in Ford's Ferry Road on the northern end of the trail where the Ford gang did their murderous deeds. This is the remnants of Ford's Ferry Road, probably the most north that the gang operated here at Potts Inn. And as you can see, even after over 100 years, there's no trees or shrubs growing in the road.
The experience of coming back to Western Kentucky and Southern Illinois has been phenomenal. I have been to most all the places. I had never been to Tower Rock, but now then I'd like to take my grandsons back. I have been here at Billy Potts's establishment many years ago.
It's been very interesting. I had heard these stories, but when you actually see where these events take place, they come alive, for lack of a better way to put it. I think we've heard things, little details that you don't get in the book, and I've enjoyed it very much, very much.